Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is lukemick, and today I'm going to take a little break from the shopping. No more Criterion buying for the moment. Right now I'd like to sit back and reflect on what I already have. So in this video, I'd like to take a couple of films off of my shelf and show them to you all and give out my suggestion, you could say, of the ones you should keep an eye out for while you're shopping at Barnes & Noble or shopping online, whichever you have to do. And these are films in the collection that I think maybe are a little bit underappreciated, or I just don't hear people talk about them as much, but they're films that I have personally revisited at least more than once, at least 2 times, except for one of them, which I watched for the very first time pretty recently, but I'm currently reading the book, so I guess we should probably start off with that one. Picnic at Hanging Rock. This film I recently watched for the very first time for one of my Criterion Marathon videos, and I was so taken aback by how engaged I was in this story, hence why I'm now reading the novel that actually comes with this box set, which is a very nice touch. It's about 3 schoolgirls in Australia in the year 1900 who go missing at Hanging Rock. If you're looking for something that's very mysterious, unsettling,
ethereal,
honestly, I compared this to Twin Peaks a little bit in my initial reaction or review for this film. This film just does such a great job at creating a very mystical atmosphere and just this otherworldliness that I wasn't expecting from this film. I mean, it's a period piece technically set in Australia about a very strict college and the boarders at this college. Just that description makes it sound like it'd be pretty straight and just a little bit boring. But this film, with the mix of the music, the beautiful bright lighting, and just the mysticism that it creates through the cinematography and the acting, I think makes this one really stand out. I love this film a lot. I think it's always engaging, and it made me feel so curious as to what really happened at the Hanging Rock. I think it is a great mystery. If you like mystery films and disappearance films, then you should definitely check out Picnic at Hanging Rock because it is a standout in my book. Okay, the next one here, this isn't exactly an uncommon film. It's a pretty popular film in the Criterion Collection. If you've seen any of my other Criterion related videos, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this one before at some point, and that is House. This is basically my favorite film in the entire collection. It was honestly one of the first films that I ever watched in the Criterion Collection. I ran across it at my local half-price books about 5 years ago. I didn't know what it was, and I bought it. I blind bought it. I was like, well, I don't have many Criterion Collection movies, and they have it at a good deal. It looks interesting, so I bought it. If you're looking for something that is just completely off the walls, crazy use of color, crazy editing, amazing set design, a very colorful and insane cast of characters, and very hilarious moments, but also very scary moments, in all honesty, House is for you. It's a haunted house movie, but it does not play it straight at all. It is completely psychedelic. The soundtrack is just incredible. It's overly dramatic. It's very like anime in some aspects, and it's just so entertaining. I love House to death. One of my very favorite films, probably my favorite film in the collection, the one that I will go back and rewatch the most. If you have not seen House and what I described sounds awesome to you, buy House, watch House, you will not be disappointed. The next film is another mystery disappearance film. You kind of see the theme here. That's something that I actually really have discovered that I enjoy in film and media, and that is The Vanishing. This is where is this film from? Oh man, I want to say it's Danish, but that might not be correct. Dutch. Okay. The Vanishing is a Dutch film about a disappearance, similar to Picnic at Hanging Rock. What I love so much about The Vanishing is that it does an excellent job of giving 2 different perspectives of this disappearance. It gives the perspective of the boyfriend of the woman who goes missing, and it also goes into the perspective of the abductor. And the film really explores what... It explores a few different things, and I don't want to go into too much. I don't want to spoil the film. I guess I'll just leave it at that. If The Vanishing sounds interesting to you, without a doubt, pick this one up, look into it. I feel like it's kind of underrated. I don't hear a lot of people talk about this one, but it does an excellent job at exploring what makes a person good and what makes a person evil, and it has an incredibly unsettling and depressing finale that gets me every time. You should definitely check out The Vanishing if what I have explained sounds like something that you would enjoy. The next one here is a film that I actually watched for the first time very recently, and then I rewatched it, and I am absolutely in love with this film. That's Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters. This, to me, I wrote a Letterboxd review, and in that review I said this film is the perfect experience for me. This is helmed by Paul Schrader, who wrote for Scorsese. He wrote Taxi Driver and Raging Bull. He most recently directed First Reformed with Ethan Hawke, which was an incredible character study of a priest having a midlife crisis type breakdown. Mishima is also a very deep character study about a real man, a author, a model, an actor, a director. If you are into character studies and films that really delve into the thoughts of individuals that are very hard to grasp and understand, a lot like Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver, Mishima is definitely a film that I would recommend. And on top of it being a very well structured narrative of Mishima's life and why he chose to do what he chose to do, it is so visually and auditorily compelling. The set design and just the way they shaped this film is perfect. I love the way this film looks. The sets are so incredible, and the music done by Philip Glass is sweeping, it's grandiose, it's amazing, and it fits this so well. This film truly gives me the type of experience I'm looking for in a film that's exploring the life of a very troubled person. I can't praise this film enough. I love Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters. I think it's Paul Schrader's best film from what I've seen, and I would recommend it to anybody who enjoys films like Taxi Driver, like I've already mentioned. Visually stunning. The next one I have here is a very underrated film, in my opinion, of a director who is very famous for having a very extensive and kind of bizarre catalog of films under his belt, and that's The Ice Storm by Ang Lee. This is my personal favorite Ang Lee film, and I almost hear nobody talk about this movie. It's set in the 1970s in the suburbs in Connecticut. It's just like a family domestic drama. It's one of those, but it has a very emotional finale, and it just has characters that to me felt very real, and it's star-studded, this thing. I mean, Elijah Wood is in it, Tobey Maguire, Sigourney Weaver, God, who else? Katie Holmes, Christina Ricci. It's filled with people. Joan Allen, Kevin Kline, the two stars of the film, basically. The Ice Storm. If you like the work of Ang Lee, it can be a little bit polarizing at times. He can go from directing Hulk to directing Brokeback Mountain, so you got a big range of quality from Ang Lee, but this one to me is one that really works incredibly well. I've always loved this film. I've watched it several times, and it'll always go down as one of my favorites in the Criterion Collection, so I could not recommend The Ice Storm enough. And the last film that I have in my lap here is a film from another very famous director. People definitely talk about it, but as far as this director's Criterion Collection filmography goes, this is definitely the one that is the most overlooked. And that's Stanley Kubrick's The Killing. Now, The Killing is the oldest film by Stanley Kubrick that is in the Criterion Collection, which may be an indicator as to why I don't believe it's as popular as films like Dr. Strangelove or Barry Lyndon or, of course, Paths of Glory. But on its own, The Killing is a really well-structured heist movie. This movie is a lot of fun. It's kind of like Reservoir Dogs in a way, where it's a group of strangers getting together and planning a heist. They want to rob a horse derby stand. You know, people go and bet money on the horses. There's a bunch of cash there. They want to take that cash during a big race. I just really love the way that this film tells the story. There's a narrator over it, and they really set the scene very well. They're kind of documenting every step of the way of this heist and where things start to go wrong and fall apart. And I just really enjoy the way that this film plays out. I think it has a lot of pretty memorable characters and situations, and it's just a Kubrick film that, yeah, it's not as like perfectly concise as something like The Shining or A Clockwork Orange. It doesn't exactly feel like a Stanley Kubrick film, but it still feels like a really great 50s era robbery film. And I really like The Killing. Great noir film, really. I'd recommend this one if you're into Hollywood noir and Stanley Kubrick, of course, in general, because this is a really interesting little oddity in his filmography that I think should be checked out by people who appreciate his later work. So that is The Killing. So those are the films that I wanted to take a second here and talk about and recommend. There are, of course, a myriad of other films I could have talked about, but I just wanted to really dig into the ones that I have found myself revisiting over the years. And there are definitely films in the collection that I love more than those films, but I wanted to talk about things that I feel don't get the same type of love as something like Seven Samurai or Harakiri gets, or 12 Angry Men. You know, the list goes on and on. Of course, I would recommend all three of those films. They're incredible works on their own. But what I just mentioned here are things that I hope that you can all take and have in the back of your head when you're shopping for Criterions in the future. So that's all I have for you today. I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, or if you agree with any of these recommendations, like this video and comment down below with your thoughts. And if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed to the channel, and I will hopefully talk to you later.